You are in for a treat because support for today's episode comes from Jeannie Kane. Think minimalist meets luxury. Jeannie Kane items are classic, comfortable, and California-inspired clothes. From the cotton or cashmere knit sweater you're obsessed with to the flowy summer dress you never want to take off. With elevated everyday basics and wardrobe essentials, getting dressed is easier than ever before. When it comes to investing in an outfit that'll last, we choose Jeannie Kane. For a limited time, our listeners get 15% off their entire order. Go to jeanniekane.com and use the code RATCHET to get 15% off. Now, I love my Jeannie Kane clothes because Jeannie Kane believes in one thing, the art of simplicity. With a focus on comfort, quality, and timeless design, Jeannie Kane makes pieces that truly never go out of style, which is super important to me because on the road, I really don't shop like I would at home. Jeannie Kane makes sure that everything in my suitcase is stylish and cozy no matter the occasion. Find your forever pieces at jeanniekane.com. Our listeners get 15% off your first order when you use code RATCHET at checkout. That's 15% off your first order at jeanniekayne.com. Promo code RATCHET. The brand go-to for all season staples. Treat yourself because you deserve it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and those who don't identify as either, you are listening to Ratchet and Respectable. Y'all, I just got back from the most amazing place. Last time we spoke, where was I? I was on safari. Well, I'm back in Johannesburg now, but I switched hotels from where I was the last time we spoke to another hotel, a resort, if you will, called Sun City. It's about 2.5 hours outside of Johannesburg. It is, I don't know what to compare it to in the States. It's kind of like a mini Disney, if you will. It doesn't have an amusement park. It has a water park. It has golf. It has a man-made beach. It has a lake where you can go jet skiing. It has a convention center. It has a casino. But the crown jewel of this property is one of the hotels, and it's called the Lost Palace. And they guard this place like it's the freaking White House. I actually tried to go there the first time I came to South Africa. We went to Sun City just for the day. Safari, you can also go on safari when you're there. But we went to Sun City just for the day, and I saw the top of the hotel in the distance, and it looked like some sort of old world castle. And I was like, what is that? So we marched around Sun City until we got to it. We were able to get by the main gate. Actually, they may not have had one at the time, but they do have one now. It's such serious security. But we got past the main gate and we got all the way to not the main entrance. There's like a courtyard before you can actually get into the building before someone stopped us. And it was like the most opulent, most beautiful, most gorgeous thing I had ever seen. It looks like, okay, Coming to America, the first one, the original, right? When they zoom in on Zamunda and you can see the castle where the royal family lives, it's like all these massive trees. And then you see this castle in the middle of all the trees. That's what it looks like. It's called the Lost Palace. Okay, think like a Vegas hotel, right? Not so much Caesars, more higher end than Caesars. Think, what's the one that's the Italian theme? Venetian. There we go. So think like the Venetian, on par with that level of detail to recreate Venice. But they've created like the Palace of Zamunda / something from like Indiana Jones' Temple of Doom. It's a little less corny than Vegas. There's a fine line between opulence and what is the word? It's when you do too much, it becomes tacky. But the palace goes right up to that fine line and stops on the side of opulence. Like, it's a lot. It was just absolutely beautiful. And then they've got like this secret elevator that takes you up to like one of like the peaks of the castle. I don't know the proper name for this architecture term, but it was just absolutely beautiful. Like I went up and then I looked out and it looked like, if not Zamunda, the opening of the first act of Black Panther, the original, when they're flying into Wakanda and they just pass it and everything's like green and beautiful. It's like that. It's just gorgeous. That was my final excursion with Africentric. They've really taken great care of me, both in Cape Town and in Johannesburg. It was just the creme de la creme. It was great. It was absolutely amazing. I'm so exhausted right now. I'm recording this on break from the writer's room. I just did 2 hours and then I have an hour break for lunch. Lunch for them, it's 9 to 10 p.m. for me. This is the only break that I have. And I'm recording on Thursday, 9:35 p.m. because I have a really early flight tomorrow to Mozambique. Like, I don't know why I've packed my schedule like this. It sounded like a good idea at the time. I was like, the devil finds time for idle minds. Maybe being a little devilish is okay because my ass is tired. But at least Saturday and Sunday, I get to lay on the beach and do absolutely nothing. I've got this really cute bungalow on the beach, right off the ocean. Not a lot of frills, definitely not like the Lost Palace, but right on the beach, which is exactly what I need right now. We do have some good Black news this week. I was a little afraid because a couple of the stories I have to talk about, I think they're all about Black men. And I was like, yo, like it's what's in the zeitgeist right now. So it's what I'm going to talk about. But I was like, I'm already prepared for the like, oh my God, you're bitter. You hate Black men. You're so hard on Black men. And I'm just like, folks been fucking up lately. Good Black news. Can we start there? I saw the story about the little boy. I call him a little boy because he's 16 years old. But the little boy in Kansas City, Ralph Yarl, I think that's his name. He went to the wrong house to pick up his siblings. And the owner of the house, a white guy, 84 years old, shot him twice. And somehow, by God's grace, I do serve an awesome and mighty God. This child survived the shooting. I saw the pictures of him laying up in the hospital bed and I was like, ooh, like this doesn't look good. He got shot in the head and I think the right arm is what I read. And I was like, this doesn't look good. And, you know, they're trying to keep him alive and prayers and because really that's all you can do at this point. I didn't think the kid was going to, if he made it, I didn't think he'd be okay. I wasn't hopeful. Maybe I should have more faith. Apparently I should. Because I'm reading this article on CNN. Initially, they weren't charging the homeowner. He shot this kid twice. The police interviewed him and then let him go with like no charges. This story came out. It went national. People were enraged, especially since there was a similar case about a white girl who was in a similar predicament. She got shot and that person was immediately charged. People were upset. Like this white man shot this Black kid and like nothing. The kid went to the wrong house to pick up his little brothers. Clearly he's a responsible kid. An irresponsible kid, one, wouldn't have showed up, and two, wouldn't have been asked to do that. So I was reading on CNN that the man, after the public outcry, so if there was no public outcry, y'all just weren't going to charge him? Really? The 84-year-old, his name is Andrew Lester. He will face charges of assault in the first degree and armed criminal action. So according to the CNN article, there's no indication that Lester or Ralph, that's the old man and the young man, spoke to each other before the shooting. There's also no evidence that the teen entered the home or tried to. It says preliminary evidence shows that the old man, Lester, opened fire on the teen through a glass door with a .32 caliber revolver. There's also no video of this incident. Now here's where the story gets crazy to me. CNN said Ralph told the detective who visited him at the hospital. I said, who? Ralph. Ralph is awake and talking to detectives after getting shot in the head? He is. Ralph was looking for 115th Street and ended up on 115th Terrace. His version of events is he rang the doorbell and he waited. He said the person inside took a long time, but he finally opened the door and he was holding a firearm. Ralph said he was immediately shot in the head and fell to the ground. Like, no conversation, no, what the fuck do you want? Get out of here, like nothing. He just shot him in the head. And then he shot him again. That's crazy to me. What else is crazy This kid got shot in the head and the arm, and I'm reading on CNN, the teen has come home from the hospital. What? Sir, you have a big full life waiting for you. Your purpose is not complete. This story is amazing to me. I'm reading on CNN, it says he's not out of the woods yet, but the great thing is he's stable enough to go home. Did he stable enough to go home and also hold a conversation with police and tell them about being shot in the head? God bless this kid. Benjamin Crump is his lawyer. Surprise, surprise. Surprise, surprise. He's like everybody's lawyer. If something bad happens to you and you're black, especially if the police are involved, like Benjamin Crump is your lawyer. I mean, he has the same thoughts on this that I do. He doesn't understand how the man didn't get arrested that night. He was taken into custody and he was questioned and then he was sent home. He wasn't charged. You just shot a kid, an unarmed kid, for no fucking reason. Nothing? I mean, yeah, like I know he's old, but like fuck his old ass. He just shot a kid. That's my thoughts. Lester told investigators he was, quote, scared to death by Yarl's size and his inability to defend himself because he's 84. He told police that he believed someone was attempting to break into the house. Not that it would really make a difference. I mean, you could say the kid was like 6'4". Ringing a doorbell to the wrong house should not result in you getting shot. I feel like the old man's excuse, talking about like how large the kid was, that's like always the go-to when white people shoot, especially unarmed black kids. White people, white police, same difference. They always talk about having this deep fear and how large the black person was. I remember Trayvon Martin's size came up, like he was menacing because he had on this hoodie. Never mind that it was raining. Never mind that he was just a tall, lanky ass kid. You can look at him and see he's a kid just by like the shape of his body. He's growing weird. Like his arms were too long for his body. Like he's a teenager. Like he's growing. Like his legs and arms are just long and lanky, skinny. Like just he looks like a kid. The picture that they're circulating of this child, Ralph, the 16-year-old, he looks small for his age. Maybe the picture that they've been circulating of him playing his saxophone, maybe it's an older picture. I don't know, but he looks small. But I remember this came up with Michael Brown. I always remember the New York Times describing him as like no angel. And I was like, he was an unarmed kid, because 18, I think. He's an unarmed kid whose body got left in the street like you wouldn't even do a dog. And the New York Times felt fit to describe him as like no angel. This is the time to discuss this? But no, I remember like the police officer who shot him described him as like almost like superhuman or some shit. Like he was a big kid, still human, not superhuman. White people are just absolutely terrified of black folks. They totally created that black brute stereotype and then like believe their own shit. The vast majority of black folks, like when it comes to white people, don't really want to be bothered. Like if we could avoid interaction, and not even on some like black people are racist shit, it's on some like black people don't want to deal with your microaggressions and like irrational fears and Karen shit. And, you know, folks who pull out guns and shoot people, kids, for no reason. Like this 16-year-old, like the picture that's circulating, he looks very much younger than 16. If I opened my door and I saw him standing there, like I would just be like, are you trying to sell me Boy Scout cookies? He doesn't look like a hard kid. I'm not saying I'm like opening my door at 10 o'clock at night and, you know, allowing him in, but I'm at least hearing him out. I'm not pulling out a gun and just shooting him. The fucking head, no less. Like, I'm amazed this kid is alive. God bless him. God bless his family. I saw the old white guy, was it his grandson, did an interview and was like, yeah, my grandfather's a racist. Yeah, I'm reading this on TMZ of all places. The grandson of the shooter says his grandpa's a racist. That's the headline on TMZ. There's a picture of the guy. I can't tell if he's white or not. Let me listen to this real quick.
I was disgusted. I thought it was terrible. Myself and my family stand with Ralph Yarl and seeking justice. It's a horrible tragedy. It never should have happened.
I'm so confused. I'm looking at this man. He could be white, but he also could be light-skinned black. He's got a kind of Sean King thing going on. His hair is in what looks like either cornrows or locks that are cornrowed back? I'm so confused. Oh, no, his name is Clint Ludwig. I think that's white. But he said he was disgusted by his grandfather's attack. Well, you just heard the audio. He says his family stands with Ralph Yarl. He was being interviewed by Don Lemon. Don asked him, he said, why are you speaking out against your own grandfather? He says, quote, it was the right thing to do. He says, quote, this country, it happens over and over again where people get away with killing unarmed, innocent black people. He added, people need to speak up and not make any excuses for this kind of behavior and violence. He also said that his grandfather, oh God, he threw grandpa under the bus. He described him as, quote, stock American Christian male with racist tendencies. Oh dear. He said of his grandfather, he said the older he got, he would say, quote, weird racist things, which seemed to be the result of watching conservative media outlets such as Fox News. He went on to say that his grandfather is a Trump supporter, and within the last 5 years, he became radicalized with toxic views. Sir, you haven't been nice to this grandchild. I don't know about the other ones you might have, but this one, you haven't been nice to this one. You've given this one hell. Even if my grandma did some fucked up shit and I thought my grandma was like hella racist, I might talk about it with friends and family. I wouldn't go on CNN and throw my grandma under the bus, even if she did some fucked up shit. I would, talk shit about her, but I ain't going on CNN to say it. Lester hasn't been a good grandpa. And his grandson absolutely, totally, and completely has a bunch of black friends. I'm telling you, I'm looking at the man and was like, is he black? Is he white? I really can't tell. Actually, he's definitely not black. I'm looking at his hairline. It's true. If you saw the hairline, you would say the same thing. The man either does have straight up cornrows or locks because they're full at the bottom. They got knots in them. It makes it look more like locks than cornrows. Okay, I'm pretty sure it's locks braided back into cornrows because it's like a little bit fuzzy. And I feel like if you actually just had cornrows and not locks, you would have got your cornrows fresh before you went on CNN. Especially if you was black. Okay, definitely white. There's always tells. But no, I'm glad the little boy is recovering. That story really hurt my heart. I guess we need to talk about Chance the Rapper. Sir's been living his best life the last few months. He was in Ghana, living it up. Remember he had that big concert? I partied with him in Ghana, not like in his section or anything. He was at Polo Beach Club. He and his, his street team, for lack of a better word, they were up in the club giving out tickets to his concert. I didn't go to his concert. That's the one where T-Pain, Jeremiah, Erykah Badu. I think those were the only Americans. There were some other local artists that were in attendance. But I didn't go to the concert. I left and went to the Middle East. That's when I was in Qatar and Dubai and Abu Dhabi for those 2 weeks. So I missed his concert. I heard it was when people finally got on stage really good. Because I had thought about staying because I really wanted to see Erykah Badu. Like Erykah Badu in Ghana and, but I heard she didn't go on until 4:30 in the morning. I love me some Erykah Badu. I ain't standing out nowhere to see nobody at 4:30 in the morning. I stayed till 2 to see Burna Boy. And that was pushing it. That's because it was a celebratory season in Ghana otherwise. But Chance is now taking his talents down to Jamaica. I didn't have to read about it. I saw it. The video was all over the place. He's down in Jamaica for Carnival. There was a video, people keep joking, like in 4K of him grinding up on some chick. I read it on Vibe and they said he caught a twerk. I said, that's the most passive aggressive way I've ever heard a man grinding on some ass described. He caught a twerk. He grinded on some ass. The internet is split largely by where you were raised in the diaspora on whether you think he was inappropriate or not. The Caribbean folk are largely like, it's carnival, let the man live. It ain't mean nothing. He was just dancing and slapping ass. He's a whole married man, father, on cameras, grinding on somebody and slapping their ass. I thought it was too much. I did. And then my Caribbean friends were like, no. When in Rome. I'm like, okay, I get it. He's in Rome and I respect your culture. Like if you were doing it, then that's your business. He ain't Caribbean. But they were like, be in the Caribbean. It would be too much for me. I'm not leaving you over it. I'm not divorcing you over it. But I think it's like you said you was going down to Carnival. I kind of assumed, the kinds of shenanigans that you would be getting yourself into while you were there. Everybody's grown. Life happens. I mean, I'm kind of like, have a good time, do what you do. But I really don't want to see my man, my husband, the father of my children, grinding on some chick and slapping her ass in 4K. I could do without the visuals. I'm just saying, discretion. Discretion. You a whole married man. The thing that kills me about it, like everyone, Caribbean or otherwise, who's like, oh, it's not an issue. He's just having a good time. You know, you don't understand the culture, blah, blah, blah. I hear you. I feel you. I don't understand the culture. I'm acknowledging that you say it's cool. I believe it's cool. I'm saying, is his wife Caribbean? If his wife ain't from the Caribbean, she more than likely ain't cool with it. Cool with it happening? It's one of those things you suck up. Your partner don't always behave like you want them to. People are people, humans are humans. That said, don't no woman, don't no wife, especially, want to see her husband grinding up on some chick and slapping her ass on video. She certainly don't want to see it plastered all over the internet where she sees it and all of her friends see it. Her mama, her grandmama, her church members, her sorors, her friends, people she worked with, they see it. Carnival or not, your husband out there looking wild. Slapping ass? I could maybe let it go if it was just a dance. The whole video is all of 10 seconds. It's the slapping of the ass for me. You got a little carried away, sir. Do you want to smell better? Let's face it, our underarms aren't the only place we have odor. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Lumi Whole Body Deodorant for pits, privates, and beyond. Lumi was created by an OBGYN who discovered and proved in clinical testing that the vagina is not to blame for day-to-day odor below the belt. So she developed Lumi, a uniquely formulated pH-balanced deodorant. It's aluminum-free, skin-safe, and clinically proven to control odor for up to 72 hours. Admittedly, I was a little skeptical about Lumi. I've used the same deodorant since I started using deodorant, and trying new deodorant that you're not sure works is very, very tricky. But Lumi works, and it's seriously safe to use anywhere on your body. You can use it in your underboobs, your thigh folds, belly button, butt cracks, vulva, and feet. Unlike some deodorants that try to mask odor with a fragrance, Lumi is different. It's formulated to stop odor before it starts, so more like a pre-deodorant, if you will. It's aluminum-free, baking soda-free, and paraben-free, and pH balanced for safe use below the belt. It also comes in a variety of fresh, bright scents like clean tangerine, lavender sage, or toasted coconut. Lumi's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, and 2 free products of your choice, like mini body wash or deodorant wipes, and there's free shipping. As a starter offer for listeners, new customers get $5 off a Lumi. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. You know, bouncing around the world, my senses are always heightened, and I always feel like I'm learning something new about myself. Getting to know yourself can be a lifelong process, especially because we're always growing and changing. That's a good thing. If you're not growing, you're dying. Therapy is all about deepening your self-awareness and understanding, because sometimes we don't know what we want or why we react the way we do until we talk through things. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from wherever you are. You listen to this podcast, so you know that I am a huge advocate of therapy. I think everyone should have a little, and don't wait until you're in crisis to get some. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/ratchet today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/ratchet. Busy schedule? Sakara delivers ready-to-eat plant-rich meals that help you look and feel your best, even during those weeks of back-to-back meetings and happy hours. Manage weight, ease bloat, and keep energy levels high with science-backed, nutritionally designed meals that you will actually look forward to eating. Seriously, they're delicious. Sakara's plant-rich, organic, ready-to-eat meals ensure you get the right nutrients to see and feel real results. I love Sakara. I love their range of options and how easy they make it for me to eat healthy. Sakara brings expertly designed organic nutrition programs and wellness essentials right to your door. Their science-backed, ready-to-eat meals deliver results you can see and feel, from weight management and eased bloat to boosted energy and clearer skin. And right now, Sakara is offering our listeners 20% off their first order when they go to sakara.com/ratchet or enter code RATCHET at checkout. That's Sakara, SAKARA.com/ratchet to get 20% off your first order. Sakara.com/ratchet. I just want to sometimes remind people it's okay not to embarrass your wife. Like, you don't have to do that. You can opt not to. Also, and in addition to, everyone who has all this understanding for Chance the Rapper, grinding, catching a twerk, but all these people who have all this grace and understanding for Chance the Rapper, I question, would people have been this understanding if it was his wife who was the one bent over? If Chance was a random man and his wife was, say, like Remy Ma. Like Remy was out at Carnival. She's got the outfit on with like the rhinestones and like, you know, her boobies pushed up and a full thong, because that's what the woman had on. Remy Ma has a beautiful shape. She wants to show off her shape. She wants to celebrate Carnival. She wants to be in the moment. If Remy Ma had been out somewhere and was dancing with her friends and some guy came up behind her and started grinding on her and she backed into it and was twerking it up and that was caught on 4K, she has a big smile on her face, people would call that all manner of disrespectful to Papoose. She would be dragged. Sierra showed up half naked. I mean, it wasn't Carnival, so I mean, there's a little context missing. But Sierra showed up half naked with her husband at the Vanity Fair after party to the Oscars. People had a goddamn fit. Her husband was standing there right beside her. Her husband was in the pictures. Her husband was taking the pictures. He knew what she was wearing. He knew what she looked like. He was standing right there. People were still mad about it. There's a huge double standard there. People would not have been that understanding. Carnival or not, Caribbean or not, culture or not, people would be very up in arms like a married woman should not be out here acting like that. You want married women to act like wives, then I also need their husbands to, you know, act like husbands. Is that asking too much? I don't think so. Last but not least, we're not discussing Snowfall this episode, just FYI. I'm still processing it. I want to go back and watch the first episode again to get the full circle of it all. I've seen tons of people talking about it. I remember the first episode. I just haven't watched it in a while. I remember Franklin talking about freedom. It comes up at the very end of the last episode, but people have been talking about the parallels, but I just want to go ahead and watch it and see for myself. But we do need to talk about Jonathan Majors. I've been putting off the story for a while. I told you, I don't ever like to feel like when I'm talking about folks that I'm just, you know, coming for them out the blue or dragging them. I think in the case of Jonathan Majors, I've been more than gracious. I talked about the story when the news initially broke. I talked about it again when his lawyer released those god-awful text messages that made the situation look worse than what everyone thought it was. And then I haven't said anything about it since, because really there's been nothing to report. But in the last 3 days, I don't know exactly what happened. There's been several stories about Jonathan Majors. The first one that I saw, at least, was Variety dropped the story about how his management and publicity team had dropped him in the wake of the allegations. Let's pull up the story so we can talk about the specifics. It says, again, this is from Variety. It says Jonathan Majors and his talent manager, Entertainment 360, have parted ways. And they note that this development comes 3 weeks. Has it only been 3 weeks? After the actor was arrested on charges of assault and harassment in New York in late March. Damn, I thought it had been longer than that. This story seems like it's been going on forever. He's also been dropped by his former public relations manager, the lead company. Variety reached out to both and they said no immediate comment was made. I think it's important to remember as we discuss this situation, he's been accused of assault. It's alleged that he assaulted his ex-girlfriend. I think he goes to court on May 8th. There's also another story from Variety. This one's from yesterday. Yes, it confirms the May 8th court appearance on domestic violence charges. It says sources familiar with the matter tell Variety that multiple alleged abuse victims of Majors have come forward following his March arrest, and they're cooperating with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. And there's no details about who the women are or what exactly they're alleging. It's just a very overall multiple alleged abuse victims. That doesn't look good. It also explains why the management company and the publicist have parted ways. You know, I remember when the story first broke that his lawyer was like, you know, we have text messages, and then we have video, and then we have statements from the taxi driver. I would imagine that in order to keep the management and the PR company from dropping him, they would have shown that evidence to them to be like, hey, you know, like, we're not releasing it to the public, but just so you know what's coming down the pipeline, don't leave us yet, like, we good. That his management and his PR company would stand to make millions off of him if his career were to continue on its previous trajectory says a lot to me. There's a couple other people that have bailed on him. He was supposed to be going to the Met Gala. That's coming up in May. He was supposed to be going to the Met Gala with Valentino. I read that they've, quote unquote, mutually agreed to part ways. He's also stepping down from the board, which I didn't even know he was on, of the Gotham Film and Media Institute, and his work with the Sidney Poitier Initiative, which I also didn't know about. It was created to support emerging filmmakers, but he's no longer a part of that either. Oh dear. I read something else. There was a film that he was working on, or a couple films. I'm reading this on People. They are reporting from Deadline that Majors will no longer star in The Man in My Basement. It was an adaptation of Walter Mosley who writes for Snowfall. The Man in My Basement is his 2004 novel. Majors was also expected to executive produce that. He was also in negotiations to star in a biopic about the late musician Otis Redding. Is Otis Redding sitting on the dock of the bay? I know nothing about Otis Redding, but I would have if Jonathan Majors was in the film. Well, let's see. We don't know who he's going to be replaced with. Let's see. There was something else that he lost out on. Oh, Spike Lee's going to stick beside him. People says there's an, quote, an upcoming Spike Lee movie. It doesn't say what the movie is or what it's about, but it's Spike Lee. And then he's also doing a Dennis Rodman biopic, which any story about Dennis Rodman is always a hell of a story. And he would be so good at that too. Bruh. You know what? I really can't call this situation anymore. Like when I first heard about it, like last night, there was this incident in Jonathan Majors and he was arrested and blah, blah, blah. I was like, well, okay, like, you know, this doesn't sound good, but let's hear it out. Let's see what it has to be said. I gave it a let's hear it out until I saw the text messages and I was like, this don't sound good, bruh. This don't sound good at all. And then like this most recent information, I'm like, I don't know what this is. His lawyer, I think this is per page 6. Remember his lawyer initially said, we have these texts, we have a statement from the taxi driver where the incident took place, and then we have video from that taxi ride. And we were like, okay, like let's hear it out. And then they dropped the text. The woman sounded like a textbook abuse survivor. Is she a survivor if she's still in it? She ain't dead, so let's say survivor. But the text looked terrible. And then we were waiting. We were like, okay, so like, where's the video? And where's the witness statement from this taxi driver? Because we could clear all this up real quick. Like you said, you had definitive proof, like release it, because the text wasn't it. So now a new video has been released. It's not the video from the cab the lawyer initially talked about. Now there's video, quote and unquote, proof that the girlfriend wasn't injured. I think that's an interesting term. I'm reading this on TMZ. And this, I'm going to just read it exactly as TMZ says it. It says, Jonathan Majors says, and I think this is Jonathan Majors through his lawyer. I don't think he's doing interviews. Jonathan Majors claims there's video proof that the woman, the ex-girlfriend, was not injured when she went out to a club after their altercation. Is it me? That's a weird choice of words. Because I'm reading this and it's not definitively saying he never hit her. It's saying she wasn't that injured. So they're saying they have video. They've released screenshots. It can't be the full video because TMZ would be running it. But it's screenshots of the woman and you really can't tell it's her. Like I'm looking at this screenshot. Everybody's face is blurry. I couldn't pick none of these people up out the crowd. The woman seems to be handing a DJ something at the DJ booth, either giving, receiving, I can't tell, but there's some exchange at the DJ booth. Like they've zoomed in and they've got the woman circled in red and an arrow pointing to like indicate it's her. And that her hand is fine. I think she said she broke her finger or something like that, but she's doing something with his hand that should say that she's fine. And then there's other footage of her at the club. She's seeming just out with her girlfriend. She's having a good time. I never had my ass beat before, allegedly. I don't know what people do when they've been in a violent altercation with a man. Her going to the club afterward doesn't say to me that no altercation took place. Was she badly injured? I would say no if she went to the club, but not badly injured and I didn't hit her are two different things to me. And I swear to you, I'm not looking to make him guilty. I'm not looking to disparage him. I'm not looking to throw a black man under the bus. The shit don't make sense. The lawyer said there was video from the taxi cab. Show me the video from the taxi cab. Like, that's what I want to see. Where's the video from the taxi cab where allegedly this fight did or did not take place? She reached for his phone. The lawyer says that she beat up on him, that he never hit her. Okay, show me the video. The lawyer also, again, she says the taxi cab driver is going to be a witness. He's going to testify that the woman tried to grab Jonathan Major's phone, which I don't think there's any dispute about whether she tried to grab the phone. I think she mentioned in the text messages that she tried to grab the phone. The lawyers did add this here. They said the driver will testify that Jonathan Majors never struck the alleged victim in any way at any time or even raised his voice. They also say, and they're not really credible at this point, but they also say that the driver's going to testify that he saw the woman, quote, hitting, scratching, and attacking Jonathan, and that Jonathan asked the driver to stop the car so he could escape her attack, which he did. They say the woman told police that she had a broken finger and a laceration behind her ear during the altercation. The lawyers say that is, quote, a complete lie. Their proof is, quote and unquote, hours of security videos showing that the woman went clubbing and got drunk after Majors left her in the car. This is what they also say about the woman. She went out clubbing and then she got back home. The apartment, I believe she was sharing with Major. She had a key. She called him at 3:23 a.m. and went in the apartment. She called him 32 times and sent several angry, jealous text messages. The lawyer says that none of the text messages accused Jonathan of injuring her, nor does she mention any discomfort from alleged injuries. But there are injuries. Where did they come from? Because she mentioned them in the text message. Like the text messages that were supposed to clear him, she mentioned like they saw injuries on me. Where did they come from? This is the lawyer's version. So the woman went to the house. She was drunk. She blew up his phone. He didn't answer. They say Jonathan came home at 11:13 a.m. He found the lady, quote, unconscious and half naked on the floor of his walk-in closet. He also discovered she allegedly threw up in his bed. Did she throw up or not? That's a real clear thing. You got to allege whether somebody threw up. You know whether somebody threw up when you walk in the room. You can smell it. The woman also said she'd taken, quote, a few sleeping tablets. The lawyer says this is when the 911 call happened. The paramedics showed up. They wanted to know what happened to the woman. And she repeatedly told them, I don't know. I don't know. Major's lawyer, she has body cam footage from the police interviewing the woman. She says the police coached the woman to say that Jonathan Majors grabbed her by the throat. She says the woman never made that claim prior to the officer's direction. So, like, did you or did you not beat this lady? Like, I really can't call it at this point. Like, the text messages sound like you did, but then, like, the taxi driver is supposed to say he got out the car. But last time they told us that there was text, that the texts were crazy. So who knows what this taxi driver is actually going to say? We still haven't seen the video from the taxi that they said existed, not even screenshots. But now they pulling video from this girl at the club. Other women are saying they've been abused by him. I just, where did the injuries come from? Like, she's not injured at the club, according to the lawyer and based on this video footage. So when the police showed up, they saw injuries on her. She went to the hospital According to the text, she was there all freaking day. She said, I'm just now getting home. If nothing happened to you, why were you at the hospital all damn day? Like, I know emergency takes forever, but if you ain't really messed up, why don't you just leave? You wanted to get something checked out, right? Was it just your stomach pumped? I'm confused. Apparently, she was awake when police got there, though, because police are trying to coach her, the lawyer's version, to say she was choked, so she's clearly awake. This story don't make no goddamn sense. I took the LSAT and got a decent score, and I watched a lot of Law and Order. I also just, work as a story editor and be in a writer's room, and, continuity is a thing. This story just doesn't make sense. None of it. I guess we just got to wait till May 8th. Cameras and newspapers, TMZ, People, Variety, Deadline, they're going to have their best of the best sitting up in the Manhattan courthouse ready to hear what's going on with this case. So I guess we just wait till May 8th to see what happens. But I don't know, bruh. And I don't mean I don't know good or I don't know bad one way or another. I mean, I'll say this. Whether he's not guilty or guilty, it ain't looking good. I mean, people are backing away from him left and right. Unless there's something to definitively prove I did not do this and this is some grand conspiracy against me, he's been very tarnished. I hope he ain't do it. I really don't know one way or another, like how this shakes out. I'm going to save the snowfall recap for next week for a couple reasons. One, as I'm sure you can hear, I've changed locations 3 times in the recording of this podcast. Like the first portion was at my house. The second portion was in the airport. That's why you heard the background noise. And the third portion, I'm in Mozambique right now. I told y'all I'm in a writer's room for the next 2 weeks. I record whenever I can. I edit whenever I can. I sleep whenever I can because 5 hours of my day are dedicated to this writer's room. And I need to be on point when I'm in it. I do everything around that schedule. So the next couple weeks, the audio is going to be, wherever I am. You're going to hear the background. I'm in my room at my hotel because they only have Wi-Fi in the main lobby. So I had to get a SIM card so I could run Wi-Fi in my room, both to upload the podcast and also to, be on video calls for 5 hours every night. So it's a life. I choose it. I wouldn't change it for the world. These ocean views, amazing. Mozambique has been on my bucket list for 11 years, so I'm quite happy to be here. So that's the episode for this week. We'll be back on Tuesday. I changed hotels again on Monday, so we might have better sound. I'm still by the water, though. We'll see. I'll do my best. I always give you my best, even when it's fucked up. Even when I'm blowing my nose. Which, if I told you how that happened, you would be like, what? It don't make no sense. Just like that Jonathan Major story. All right, y'all. I'm out. Have a great weekend. Bye.